What up, Ravens fans? Welcome into a new season of Ravens Unscripted here on the couch of nonsense. We've got Garrett Downing, Ryan Mink, and Cliff Brown. Fellas, good to be with you for another season. As we always do, we're going to start with 4 downs. All right, down number 1. Biggest story of the offseason, special teams. No, that's not correct. Lamar Jackson. Look, it's been the offseason of Lamar. For all the obvious reasons, you guys have been at training camp. I was there for the preseason, as were you all. Where do we feel like this offense and this team is with Lamar now running things? Garrett, you as always, start us off.
Well, I mean, it's obvious that he's the centerpiece of this entire operation, and I feel like he's really prepared and equipped to go into this season and start off on a high note. My thing coming into this year always with him was if he can improve slightly as a passer, make some slight improvements where you're hitting the stuff over the middle, you take the easy ones and maybe hit a big play or two a game, then this offense is going to improve leaps and bounds. I feel like I've seen drastic improvement, not just from last year, even from OTAs. I feel like he's improved pretty remarkably as a passer. So I just feel like he has command of this offense and what the Ravens want to do with Greg Roman running this offense. And I really think that this offense is in good position to start the year on a high note.
I know this team doesn't like to make comparisons, and John Harbaugh especially, but I'm going to make a comparison here.
Sure.
You know, you go back to rookie minicamp with Lamar Jackson last season, and when I first saw him throw, you saw the flutter in the passes, and you said
some quacking going on out there on the field.
Going on, and he said he's got a ways to go. This year, I think that if you were watching him in training camp and you didn't know that, his passing and his accuracy and all that is a big point of contention and, the microscope is on that. If you didn't know all that, you would say, this guy's a great passer, He looks like every other quarterback. That shows you how much progression he has made as a thrower. He's way more confident. Last year he was reading plays to himself in the mirror and asking coaches before they snap the ball, what am I doing on this play? Yeah. Now he's in complete control of the huddle, complete control of this offense. He looks, walks, talks more confidently. He's ready to roll.
Yeah, and he's only 22. I mean, we're only seeing the beginning. There are a lot of great quarterbacks, Hall of Fame quarterbacks, who didn't look too good when they were 21. Some of them weren't even in the NFL yet. And I like the way his fundamentals so far have translated to the field. It's one thing to look better in practice, but the short stint we saw him in the preseason, he was throwing the ball well in those games. So he didn't revert back to some of his old habits once he got under live fire. To me, that translates well into what we're going to see when the game starts. I think the fundamentals are going to hold up, and he's going to be a better quarterback.
That's the crazy thing that you bring up is his age and his production even as a rookie. People kind of look at that rookie season, and they don't realize he outperformed most of the other quarterbacks that were in his draft class. He outperformed almost all the quarterbacks that started at his age. He was the best 21-year-old quarterback in NFL history.
As a passer.
Right. As a passer. That's not even talking about the running that he did. So
right, and that they won 6-1.
People, I think, these days expect these players to get drafted and be a finished product immediately. They forget that improvement happens, and Lamar, I think, is living proof that you can improve a lot.
Hey, we're going to have Soapbox later, so you guys can keep it bottled up. I know it's segment 1 of the first show of the season. And look, the comfort for Lamar is obvious, too, just being the man. But you could argue there's more question, guys, defensively with this team, with what they lost. Second down here, no Suggs, no Weddle, no C.J. Mosley. I know they've improved. The addition of Earl Thomas is an obvious storyline, but the chemistry's a lot different. Ryan, from what you've seen and what you expect heading into week 1, really, where is this defense? Is it another top 5 unit under Don Wink Martindale?
Yeah, I'm not worried about the secondary. Like you said, I think Earl Thomas steps in and adds another playmaking dimension there. I'm also not worried about inside linebacker.
What are you worried about?
I'm a little bit worried about the pass rush. To be honest, I'm a little bit worried about that. And, I did not see Tim Williams and Tyus Bowser take the leaps that we all hoped that they would take in year 3 this offseason. I just haven't seen it yet. Does that mean it's not coming? No. Last year, Zadarius Smith, I don't think anybody coming into the year was saying Zadarius Smith's going to get up around 10 sacks this year. Nobody expected that, but he did. So they could do that. But as it stands right now, I'm a little concerned that the Ravens are going to have trouble winning some of those one-on-one battles off the edge, and they're going to have to scheme up some more pressure with Wink Martindale. He's equipped to do it. Wink's got all the tricks up his sleeves.
But that does test, Garrett, the chemistry and communication, which was really anchored by Weddle and CJ. when you're dialing up all these complex schemes, you need everyone to be on the same page.
Yeah, when they're bringing the house, you need to have, more importantly, I think, than the communication, you need to have guys that can cover in the back end. I mean, the communication is important, and that's exactly my point. Like, this secondary is the strength of this team. You go through it, Marlon Humphrey, I think, is going to be a Pro Bowl level player. Jimmy Smith is still really good. Brandon Carr never misses a game, is still great. And you got Earl Thomas and Tony Jefferson. There's no reason that this Ravens secondary should not be the best secondary in the NFL. And what I think the strength of the secondary will make up for maybe some of the deficiencies in the pass rush when you have to bring more guys.
All right, Cliff, third down. You've been around the league a lot longer than all of us on this couch, so you can probably lend some perspective. The hype train across the division here. You've got Cleveland. They won the Super Bowl the offseason with all their additions, Odell Beckham Jr. most notably. Pittsburgh, no drama. Juju's the man. They're all good there. Cincinnati seems like a team that no one expects much out of. Where do you see the Ravens at this point, heading into week one, stacking up with this group?
Yeah, I see the Ravens right there at the top, along with Cleveland and Pittsburgh, in a three-team fist fight. I think you can make a case for any one of those three teams to win a division. I do think it's good for the Ravens that people aren't talking about them. I do think Cleveland's going to be in a new situation now with expectations. And I think Pittsburgh, much like the Ravens, are an established team that doesn't go through a lot of peaks and valleys. So I expect them to be good. So any of the three could win it, but I like the Ravens' chances as defending champs. They're not going to go away.
Yep. When people ask me how good are the Ravens going to be this year, my answer is they're going to be really good, but they also play in a really good division. And that's going to make things tough. I agree with you. It's just going to be a three-way battle. I do think that it's being undersold a little bit how much Antonio Brown's departure hurts the Steelers on the field. I realize that off the field, the lack of drama has been nice there, but Antonio Brown's a pretty special player, and it remains to be seen who they're going to replace him with.
All right, fourth down, quickly, guys, a little two-minute drill, if you will. Chief concern, week one, we've got the Dolphins helmet out here. Obviously, the weather was a big concern for that community. It looks like they've avoided that. But, Garrett, as you look ahead to this game, what's at the forefront of your mind?
I think the biggest concern is Ryan Fitzpatrick. Remember what he did last year in week one where he lit it up? This is a guy that's going throughout his career. He's been up and down. But when he's up, he can be really good, and he can light up a pass defense. So I think that would be your biggest concern. I still think that this is a game certainly that the Ravens should win, but with Fitzpatrick, the old gunslinger mentality that he has, that can be tricky at the start of a season.
I'm always leery of a team with a new head coach in week one. You know, that head coach is going to pull out all the tricks to win his first game. So with Brian Flores there, I think the Ravens have more question marks.
Yeah, I mean, turnovers, as in the Ravens making them, would be my only concern. To me, that's the only way they're going to lose this game is if they give Miami some opportunities that they don't create themselves. So first game jitters, first time running the whole offense. They make a couple of mistakes, that could make it a little hairy. Other than that, I think they'll be all right.
Man, it was like riding a bike back at it here in week one. And hey, coming up, we might actually get off the couch. Retweet or delete is next. Welcome back into Unscripted. We are now standing in front of this gorgeous monitor wall, which is perfect for retweet or delete. We're going to have some Ravens-related tweets up here on the big screen, and the guys are going to tell me if they endorse it with the retweet. Look at the props. They have not improved over the years. Or delete with the big X, meaning they disagree with the point. First up, from NFL Network, will Lamar Jackson break Michael Vick's QB record of 1,039 rushing yards? Nate Burleson of Good Morning Football predicts him rushing for over 1,000. So, guys, do we retweet, agree with that idea from Nate Burleson, or delete and disagree? So, Mink, out of the gate, as it should be, you delete.
I'm the heel, I guess. Yeah, I think Lamar Jackson's going to run for a lot of yards this year. I probably expect around 900, 800, 900. I don't think he's going to get to 1,000. The Ravens have said they want him to run less than he did last year, which jives well with his improvement as a passer. So I don't think he's going to run quite enough to get to that record.
I think that Lamar's going to run less than he did last year, but I still think that he's going to top 1,000 rush yards. I think the sweet spot for him is probably between 10 and 15 carries. And if you look at it last year, he averaged 4.7 yards a carry. If he gets to 14 rushes a game over the course of the season, then that would put him over the 1,000 yards and past Michael Vick's record. I think the Ravens love his development as a passer, and they want to try to utilize that and have him throw the ball more. But let's not forget that his ability ability as a runner, which is what makes him so unique. I mean, that is the strength that he has that no other quarterback
definitely. You don't
in
want
the
to take
NFL
that away.
has. So never take that away. So as much as they want to see him throw the ball more and maybe run the ball a little bit less, he's still going to run the ball plenty.
14 rushes a game on average is still pretty high.
It's a
That's
high
still
number.
On the high end.
I said 10 to 15. I put it kind
Yeah,
of
you
right
went
at
right to that close at 15.
Exactly. But I think he's going to get there.
Even if he doesn't go 14 times a game, I don't think he needs to top 1,000 because I think he's going to have more long runs this year. I think with the weapons that they put around Lamar, you can't key on him as much. And when he decides to run, particularly in winning time, third quarter, fourth quarter, I think you're going to see some big plays from Lamar. So, yes, I think he won't run 14 times a game, but he'll certainly run enough to get over 1,000. I think Vic's record will fall this year as long as he stays healthy for 16 games.
Can I retweet that Mink said jive in his breakdown? And he's got dad khakis on, so it's kind of all fitting with the narrative. Hey, week one out of the game.
Delete that comment.
Next up, we'll see what Warren Sharp, the math mind behind football, thinks of Mink's outfit. And the Ravens, whether or not they should be letting Lamar Jackson pass more on first down when the defense is expecting a run. So this is the other side of the argument, guys. Pass on first down instead of running the ball. What do we think? We've got a delete and delete. Cliff, why don't you start this one?
Yeah, I think even though Lamar's passing has improved, they're still going to be a run-heavy team. I look for them to get a lot of Mark Ingram involvement. I think Gus Edwards is going to have another big year. And I do believe that even though Lamar's a better passer, they are still going to stick to the running game enough where a lot of times, even though you know the Ravens are going to run, can you stop it? I love the way Greg Roman utilizes the run game. If the offensive line is up to snuff, I think they'll be able to run it in a variety of ways. And I do think that they will be more of a run first than pass first.
Guys, this seems a bit obvious, doesn't it? In the sense that just because they were run heavy, like, okay, now pass on first down?
Well, I mean, I think that's the way the league is going. The league is trending towards passing on first down. It's changing. And I think the Ravens are going to follow with that change. I mean, Lamar Jackson has shown improvement, and I think if he can hit some quick kind of underneath passes, shorter passes on first down, put them in manageable second down situations, then that run game really can thrive because you don't know what you're doing on second down. So I think last year where they ran the ball to get Lamar into more manageable situations on second and third down, this year they can pass to get him in those situations.
I think unpredictability is good, obviously. But I was just the guy saying that Lamar's going to run the ball a lot, so I'm not going to say now pass it on first down. I was just on the other side.
I do the opposite.
Exactly. But
What do we do?
I do think that when you look at the first down situations, isn't it nice to be at 2nd and 5? I mean, if Lamar's averaging 5 yards a carry or Mark Ingram's averaging 5 yards a carry, 4 yards a carry, it's a nice spot to be at 2nd and 5. That is second and manageable.
You can do that passing to the ball, too.
You can, but if it's working on the ground, I think this is going to be a run-dominant team. And I think that running the ball, even if they know it's coming and they can't stop it, is going to be the bread and butter for this offense.
All right, right behind Lamar Jackson in terms of hot-button issues, it's the offensive line. Left guard, stop me if you've heard this before. Cole Jackson of Russell Street Report has this. If I were making the decision at left guard, it would be Bradley Bozeman. After rewatching the O-line during the preseason, I was most impressed with Bozeman. Ben Powers is my runner-up. So retweet or delete the idea that Bozeman's the guy at left guard. I know it's a big mystery, a big delete across the board. Garrett, you first.
I think Ben Powers has looked really good over the course of the summer. He's a 4th-round pick out of Oklahoma. The Ravens like those Oklahoma offensive linemen. I think he would be there. I also think James Hurst is in that conversation, too, at left guard. So I would put Bozeman behind them right now.
I like Ben Powers' ceiling. I think that 4th-round pick, he can jive with those other guys in there. That's the second time with jive?
That's good. Yeah.
Second time with jive, doubling down. I like Ben Powers' ceiling and growing into that role to be a top-level blocker.
Yeah, I think John Harbaugh this year, much like last year, he wants to get these young guys involved right away if they show the potential. I think Powers, they drafted him. I think it's wide open, but he's the guy, I think, as Ron was saying, with the highest ceiling. Let him get out there and get experience. It's okay if he makes some mistakes early. Much like Orlando Brown, I think late in the season, if he comes on, they'll be in good shape there.
Strong retweet for the monitor board, too. I think it really highlights the segment. More Unscripted coming up after this. Welcome back in. A new weekly segment here on the show, Mailbag. You send us your questions at #RavensMailbag, and the couch is going to answer them. First up, we've got Ryan Bradett. Do you think Miles Boykin, Mink, this is for you, and Hollywood will start week 1 with Snead in the slot?
I wouldn't be surprised if Miles Boykin were a week 1 starter. I don't think that Hollywood Brown will be. I think that he'll be eased into action a little bit. He'll still see some time in his first game, but coming off the foot, he's had limited preseason reps. I think that they'll kind of let him do what he does best and run some 9 routes, run some shallow crosses, but I don't think he's going to get a full load as a starter. Miles Boykin, though, showed a lot. And I think that Willie Snead will also be a starter. They're going to rotate guys. Seth Roberts will get some reps. Chris Moore will get some reps. It's not going to matter that much who the starter is.
All right, next question for Garrett. This is from Tyler. Which corner/corners are most likely to start and rotate in that slot corner position with Tavon Young out?
Well, let's assume that you're going to have 3 corners on the field. I think it's going to be Marlon Humphrey, Jimmy Smith, and Brandon Carr, which means that streak is going to stay alive for Brandon Carr. Has never missed a game, never missed a start throughout his entire NFL career, so I think that stays intact this year. And look, even though Tavon Young is a pretty big loss, the Ravens had really high hopes for them. As we said before on the show, this secondary is still the strength of this team. Marlon Humphrey is an ascending player, and I think he's going to be a Pro Bowler by the time the season is over. And Brandon Carr is steady Eddie. Wherever you put him, he's just a good player.
If you put him in there, you still have your 3 best cornerbacks on the field. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, you want your 3 best guys out there.
Your 3 best guys,
and
no matter where he lines up.
Yeah, that's looking like a smart decision to keep those guys. All right, last one. This is from Phil, and it's for Cliff. It's a tough one. Who will have the breakout year when it comes to both offense and defense, Cliff?
Yeah, offense, I'm going to take Mark Andrews. I think that Mark has already exceeded a lot of people's expectations, but every time I try and put a ceiling on him, he goes higher. I think he has a potential actually to be a Pro Bowl tight end one day. I think he's great hands, and I love the edge that he plays with. So I would take Andrews. Defensively, I'm going to take Patrick Owasso. I know that Marlon's getting so much love that to me, he's already an ascended player and a breakout player. But Peanut is a guy who's taken over C.J. Mosley's spot. You're not hearing any rumble about what are they going to do without C.J. I think part of that is because Peanut is playing so well. I think he is really going to have a great year, have the ability to make more plays this year, and I think he's going to do exactly that.
He was their best defender on the field at the tail end of last season. Peanut was.
I agree.
And Marlon, I agree that he's kind of a known commodity here in Baltimore, but around the country, he's not mentioned in the Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Howard conversation. I think by the end of this year, Marlon Humphrey will be right up there with those guys.
I agree.
Well, that'll do it for this version of Ravens Mailbag. Each week, use the hashtag Ravens Mailbag, and we'll answer your questions here on the show. Coming up, it's Soapbox. The guys step forward and give their opinion about something heading into week 1. Welcome back to Unscripted, one of my favorite opportunities on the show, a chance for these guys to finally give their opinion. It's Soapbox, and it's also a chance here in week 1 to see who did some summer homework and really practice in front of the mirror. I mean, Garrett's got final drive, so he does it every day, but Mink, Cliff, you're up for some real competition here. Out of Garrett, you're on Soapbox first here.
I'll try to kick it off,
All right,
set the bar high here. Now, look, every year when the schedule comes out in April, we spend so much time discussing it and dissecting it. And when you look at the Ravens schedule this year, I think things set up very favorably for them at the start of the year. You go to Miami this week, and then you come back home against Arizona. These are 2 games that the Ravens should definitely win if they're going to be a playoff team. And I think they will ultimately be a playoff team, but you got to win these first 2. They are a 7-point favorite this week, which is the second highest spread you'll find in football. And I would expect a similar situation next week against the Cardinals. Good teams beat the teams they should beat. And I think that's what the Ravens need to do starting on Sunday.
Oh, man, just blowing through in our debate style.
Blowing through the bell?
And I forgot to
Respect the bell.
I forgot to introduce the star of Soapbox. It's the bell.
It's like an award speech. You got to play me off the stage.
Yeah,
Turn off the lights, cut off the mic.
The one thing, I couldn't agree with Garrett more. This team has to be 2-0 after these first 2 games. All right, Mink. Or no, sorry, it's Cliff. You're up. Right, I got to go to my notes here. Oh, we were unscripted. I can take this wherever I want. All right, 30 seconds. 3, 2, and 1.
Well, I'm on the soapbox today to say that Earl Thomas is going to be a huge difference maker for this defense. I know that there's been a lot of talk about the Ravens' weapons on offense and a lot of questions about what the Ravens' defense will be. I think Earl Thomas is going to take care of a lot of those problems. You're talking about a guy who's been the leader of a Super Bowl winning defense, a guy who makes plays. The one area the Ravens were not good in defensively was takeaways. I think Earl Thomas will add to that. I think he will also help other
3,
guys add to
2,
that. I
and
think Earl
1.
Thomas is going to be a key factor for the Ravens this year.
God, the guy's just blowing through. I might need to get a larger bell.
I agree with that, though. Yeah, Earl Thomas adds a playmaking dimension that they didn't have.
And
last
we
season,
touched on the fact that the continuity and chemistry are real. That's going to come along. His ability is really, unarguable.
If the defense takes a slight step back in terms of yards allowed this year, say they go from 1 to 6 or something like that, but they get a lot more turnovers because they have an Earl Thomas, this defense is going to be just fine.
All right, we've been waiting for it all show long. Oh, there are those pants again. All right, 3, 2, and 1.
Here's my thing. I was a Ravens fan long before I became a Ravens employee. So I've watched a lot of boring and not very good offense over the years. And let me tell you, this is the year to enjoy the Ravens offense and enjoy Lamar Jackson. I'm so tired of seeing he could get hurt, or he doesn't throw the ball well enough. Look, this is like the person who buys a Ferrari and then drives at 40 miles per hour on Sundays. Enjoy it. Maybe he'll get hurt, maybe he won't, but it's going to be
3,
fun to
2,
watch.
and 1. That's how it's done, Mink.
There we go.
I know you might start crying out of the gate, too. Your retrospective on being a Ravens fan growing up.
Lamar's awesome. He's so fun. Just sit there and enjoy it and stop nitpicking everything. In the social media age, we've become so cynical, right? We just worry about everything and critique everything, and just everything turns so negative. Just sit back and enjoy this really fun offense and really fun quarterback. It's the first time we've had it in Baltimore.
Yeah, 30 seconds, guys, here. Just the sense of excitement and mystery around this team, Cliff.
Yeah, I think that obviously the defense is what you're asking the most questions about. But I think the weapons, I'm so excited to see some of these guys, Marquise, Miles Boykin. I love the fact that the Mark Ingram pickup, even though they had a good running game, I think he's going to be key too. And then Lamar, obviously the guy everybody was talking about. I think that the Ravens this year are going to be the most exciting Ravens team we've seen in a long, long time.
Here's what I love the point that you make. Everyone wants to focus on what Lamar may not do well, or the question.
Exactly.
Here's the list of things that he does well. It's long, and you need to sit back and enjoy it. And I could not agree with you more.
All right, happy kickoff week, everybody. This couch will be right back here next week. Enjoy it. Real football is finally back here in Baltimore.